My name is TJ Ragnes. I'm the athletic director at East High School, and I'm here today to share MMSD's athletics academic eligibility guidelines and rules. First thing we'll examine is the initial academic eligibility for a student athlete upon entering an athletic season. That is determined by his, her, or their grades from the most recent grading period. For the fall season, that initial academic eligibility is determined by their spring semester of the previous school year, unless he, she, or they took summer school. If the student athlete took summer school, up to 2 non-passing spring semester grades can be replaced by earning passing grades in up to 2 summer school courses. The summer school courses do not have to be in the same class or subject in order to replace a non-passing spring semester grade. If there is no summer school enrollment, or if the summer school enrollment existed, but there were more than 2 non-passing spring semester grades, and the student athlete is then left with 1 remaining non-passing grade, they are academically ineligible for 22% of the fall season. If there are 2 or more remaining non-passing spring semester grades, they are academically ineligible for 33% of the fall season. That ineligibility period begins with the date of the first contest of the fall season. Generally, that will happen before school starts. For the winter season, the initial academic eligibility is determined by his, her, or their grades from the most recent either 9-week progress report or semester grading period. If a student athlete has 1 non-passing grade, they are academically ineligible for all contests within 10 school days, and this period must include at least 1 contest. However, it will not include more than 15% of the contests in the winter season. If there are 2 or more non-passing grades during that most recent grading period, they are academically ineligible for all contests within 15 school days. The period of ineligibility, that is when we start counting those school days, begins the day after the grade submittal deadline day for the most recent grading period. Your athletic office or counselor will know that specific date for each of the grading periods. For the spring season, initial academic eligibility is determined by his, her, or their grades from the most recent, again, either 9-week progress or semester grading period. If a student athlete has 1 non-passing grade, they are academically ineligible for all contests, again, within 10 school days. This does need to include at least 1 contest, but will not include more than 22% of the contests in the spring season. If there are 2 or more non-passing grades, they are academically ineligible for all contests within 15 school days. And again, this period of ineligibility begins the day after the grade submittal deadline day for the most recent grading period. Once the initial academic eligibility has been established and the student has been determined to be eligible academically to compete, they are then subject to ongoing and in-season academic eligibility. The short version of that is that a student athlete must remain passing in all classes at all times in order to maintain and remain academically eligible to compete. The way that is monitored is by the weekly academic report, which is generated and shared with the coaches by the athletic office every Tuesday. As I mentioned, once they complete initial eligibility requirements and are determined to be eligible academically, a student athlete is and will remain academically eligible until they show a non-passing grade in an individual class for at least two consecutive of those weekly academic reports. When they do show a non-passing grade in a certain class for two consecutive reports, they become ineligible academically until the next or a subsequent report shows them again passing that class. One side note to that is if Infinite Campus is showing a non-passing grade for two consecutive reports, but that's only because a teacher has not had the opportunity to update the grade book with additional work or a recent test score that would have raised the grade. An email from that teacher stating that the student athlete is passing will supersede the report and the student will be eligible. A student athlete is only ineligible if they show a non-passing grade in the same class for two consecutive reports. If they have a non-passing grade in one class on a report, raise that grade by the next report, but now have a non-passing grade in a different class. So even so they've had a non-passing grade for two consecutive reports, but it's in two different classes, they do not lose eligibility. They remain eligible. During the course of the season, grading periods will be completed, generally with either the 9-week progress reports or, in the case of the winter, the first semester. Any student athlete that receives a non-passing grade on either that 9-week progress report or as a semester grade, that is an F, an incomplete, or a no credit, they immediately become academically ineligible. However, their eligibility may be regained immediately if that incomplete or no credit is made up or fixed within 10 school days of the grade submittal deadline day. That is, the academic suspension from competition is lifted immediately as soon as the athletic office receives confirmation from the teacher that a passing grade has been achieved. However, if that grade has not been raised and the student has one non-passing grade, they become academically ineligible for all contests within 10 school days. That again must include at least one contest, but will not include more than 22% of the fall season or 15% of the winter or spring season. 2 or more non-passing grades will mean they are academically ineligible for all contests within 15 school days. In this case, the period of ineligibility begins the day after grade submittal deadline day for all academic periods. One final note about academic eligibility is that academic ineligibility does not end WIAA tournament eligibility. Only an athletic code violation, that is a behavioral suspension from competition, ends or causes ineligibility for the WIAA playoff series. If a student athlete does have to sit out a playoff contest for their grades, they are able to return once the academic suspension is served. That's basically an overview of the academic eligibility for our student athletes at MMSD. You can always ask your counselor or your athletic office if you have any questions at all. Thank you very much for watching, and best of luck in your upcoming seasons.